So Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 22, Text 17, Translation. Thus, Sanat Kumara, the best of the celibates, after hearing the speech of Prithu Maharaj, which was meaningful, appropriate, full of precise words, and very sweet to hear, smiled with full satisfaction and began to speak as follows. Purport. Prithu Maharaj's talks before the Kumaras were very laudable because of so many qualifications. A speech should be composed of selected words, very sweet to hear and appropriate to the situation. Such speech is called meaningful. All these good qualifications are present in Prithu Maharaj's speech because he is a perfect devotee. It is said, Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavat yakinchana sarvair gunais tatra samasate suraha. For one who has unflinching devotional faith and is engaged in his service, all good qualities become manifest in his person. Srimad Bhagavatam 5:18-12. Thus the Kumaras were very much pleased, and Sanat Kumara began to speak as follows. Maitreya Uvacha Pritostat Suktama Karnya Saram Sushtu Mitam Madhu Smayamana Iva Pritya Kumara Pratyuvachaha. Thus Sanat Kumara, the best of the celibates, after hearing the speech of Prithu Maharaj, which was meaningful, appropriate, full of precise words, and very sweet to hear, smiled with full satisfaction and began to speak as follows. So we are curious to hear immediately what he said, at least the beginning, and therefore I will read the next verse. This is text 18. Sanat Kumara Uvacha Sadhu Prishtam Maharaja Sarvabhuta Hitamana Mavata Vidusha Chapi Sadhunam Matiridrishi. Sanat Kumara said, My dear King Prithu, I am very nicely questioned by you, and such questions are beneficial for all living entities, especially because they are raised by you, who are always thinking of the good of others. Although you know everything, still you ask such questions because that is the behavior of saintly persons. Such intelligence is befitting your position. So if someone asks a good question or good questions, he should be appreciated and he should be congratulated also. And we see several times in the Bhagavatam this happens, that people ask wonderful questions and the speaker is very pleased and he thanks them. So inquiry or jigyasa is very important in the spiritual tradition. In the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a verse 125 that describes actually Sutta Goswami is also thanking sages of Naimisharanya for asking 6 questions on which the whole Bhagavatam is based. And he said, your questions are glorious because they refer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in the purport to that verse, Srila Prabhupada explains that we always deal with questions and answers. There is always in our thinking, in our daily lives, there is always questions and answers. Should I do this? Should I do that? Should I go there? Should I go here? Should I speak to this person or not? Should I visit this place or not? And in all layers of society, in all aspects of life, in all communities, there are so many questions and answers. But if one starts to ask better questions, he can get better answers. And our thinking process is mainly consisted of questions and answers. When we are thinking, if we observe what's happening in the mind, we can see that we are always asking some question and then trying to find out the answer, either ourselves, by our own thinking, by our own intelligence, or from asking other people to give us answers to our questions. So, one way that the person agitates their mind is by wrong questions. They ask questions that disturb them, actually. For example, question why they are not perfect is a disturbing question, because by this question you start to criticize on when they are going to shape up. Instead, one could ask what? What would be a better question?
How can I improve?
How can I improve? So this question is showing that the person is taking responsibility. Instead of criticizing others, this person is actually thinking about himself and how he can improve. And one life coach said that basically there is only 2 questions. Coaches, they're quite good at asking questions because they have to ask their clients, they have to ask questions. So he said that out of his so many years of experience and asking so many questions of his clients and his family, his friends, or relatives, he concluded that there are 2 important questions. What do you want? And what are you going to do about it? Everything is there. So if a person comes to you and asks you, oh, can you give me advice? Or they say, okay, I have a problem. And they say, I have a problem, so I want to tell you my problem. And they tell you your problem, and then you ask, so what are you going to do about it? Oh, I don't know, I came to you to ask you, to tell me, what shall I do? And if I tell you, then I am responsible. I am responsible for the result, because you will, if it doesn't work, you will blame me. No, I just want to ask you for advice. So, okay, but did you think about how to solve this problem? No, because you are more intelligent. And I came to you, that you help me. So now the inquiry we see here is that one person asks and the other person actually replies or answers. And This is normal in life. Somebody asks you a question, you give an answer. But I want to propose something. If you're a manager or any kind of leader, I want to propose something that you can do before you answer a question. And this is called monkey management. So the monkey is a problem, and it's on my shoulder. And I come to you, and I will give you my monkey. I say, I have a problem, you solve it. But because I know the trick, I give you monkey back. And I say, but what do you think about this? Oh, I don't know, I tried to think, but it didn't work. So then I say, okay, can you take pen and paper and give me your best 20 answers to this question or solutions to this problem? Oh, that's hard. So, you mean I have to think now? Yes. Yes, you have to think. And you have to think on paper. And you should read everything to me that you have written. Okay. And then they write it down, right? And they do 5 questions, 5 answers, then they say, do I have to do 20? It's so hard. I have only 5. Then I encourage them to continue. So this question, what do you think, gives back the monkey. And now the monkey is on their shoulder. So now they have to scratch their head how to do it. And what happens in many of such occasions, at least in my experience, is that they become so happy. Because they see that they can think and they can use their intelligence and they can come up with better solutions than I would come. Of course, if somebody is in technical ignorance about something, you can ask them, what do you think? Like if I come to Bhakti Sebastian and say, Bhakti Sebastian, how can I fix my iPhone? It just annoys me. It has this so many automatic correction and it drives me crazy and I don't know how to turn it off. I turned everything off, but it's still working so well with this automatic correction. And if he tells me, so what do you think? I would say, oh, I got 2 now.
Oh.
Thank you. This is not very nice. If he says, what do you think? It's a technical question, he knows the answer. So the other day he came and in 3 seconds, he said, why don't you press this or this or this? It was fixed. And I was just so annoyed for 2 months since I got it. So if this is such a thing, you just, help the people, you tell them. You don't torture them with this question, what do you think? But if you feel that they're lazy to think, and actually you know that they know the answer, but they're just coming to you because they are maybe too lazy to think and to take responsibility, then you give the monkey back. You give the monkey back. Now in the Vedic tradition, we don't see this, that, what somebody's, like Prithu Maharaj is inquiring, and now Sanat Kumara, he didn't say, what do you think? Of course, he praised him. he said that, well, you know these things, but you are asking for others, for the benefit of others. So he knows that he knows, so he didn't ask him, what do you think? So in the Vedic tradition, disciple asks, Guru answers, replies, and disciple takes the instruction seriously, goes and do something about it in the practical life, and gets results. Palena pariciyate is a principle from the scriptures which means that you judge anything by results. So when people would ask Srila Prabhupada why we should accept this Indian style or from India, this philosophy and all these things, we have our own things, our own tradition. And Srila Prabhupada would say, Well, one thing is that you don't follow the Bible, you don't follow your tradition, you don't follow Ten Commandments. And the second thing is, look at these people, how they have changed. It's not about the clothes, but they changed their character. They changed their bad habits, and they're happy. So see the result. Why should you chant this mantra, or why should you accept this lifestyle or these standards of life? Why? Because it works. Because there are results. So let's go back now to the verse and see that how the speech of Maharaj Prithu is described. It says it's meaningful, appropriate, full of precise words. In the synonyms it says selected words, and very sweet to hear. So he was very respectful when he was asking them. He was very respectful, he was glorifying them, also glorifying Kumaras, and showing his appreciation and showing his eagerness to hear from them. Also showing his trust, that I trust you. If you answer my questions, I will become enlightened. I will get so much benefit, and others also will get so much benefit. And the speaker actually feels very inspired and very good with such a humble approach, and also he asked precise questions. So these precise words or selected words is very important, that we be careful what we say. We should be careful what we say. I don't know, is there any kind of saying in German or in English that is similar? In my country we say "Ispeci pareci." That means think before you say something. Ispeci means to bake, like you bake bread. So bake the words. It's a little strange, but it's a rhyme. So maybe somebody made it up like this: "Ispeci pareci." First bake, then say something, or first bake, then serve bread. Or first think deeply, think carefully how your words may affect other people. And we usually make mistake when we are angry and we say something harsh and we hurt people and then we regret it. Sometimes we don't regret it. Sometimes we regret it. Sometimes we say, oh, they deserve even worse words because they are such a rascal. And the other day I was speaking about the sharp words of a sadhu, but it's okay. I said something before about this. So then the words of Prithu Maharaj were meaningful. So we have so many conversations during the day, but how meaningful these conversations are, how deep these conversations are. I say that one of the reasons of poor health is shallow breathing, shallow breathing, that you don't breathe deeply enough and you don't get enough oxygen into your body. And the reason for anxiety and disturbance, like emotional and mental disturbance, is shallow thinking. We don't think deeply. And also, we don't have deep conversations. We have shallow conversations. How are you? I am fine. How are you? I am fine too. And we go to hell together. I mean, it's like a metaphor. I'm not like evangelistic preacher pounding on the Bible and say you will all go to hell because you're sinful. I'm not saying this. So is what we are thinking during the day meaningful, and is what we are speaking during the day meaningful? We can ask ourselves this. And Srila Prabhupada said that the most important quality of any man is how he speaks. In 254, in the Bhagavad Gita, in the purport, he says this. The most important quality of any man is how he speaks. And you may recognize a fool when he starts to speak. Someone may look very mystical, have sunglasses, black dress, and when he is quiet, he looks, like mysterious. But if he starts to speak, you see that actually he's very ignorant. He's very ignorant. So now, we spoke about this verse in the Bhagavad Gita in the 17th chapter, which describes the austerity of speech, speaking words that are truthful, pleasing, beneficial, and not agitating to others, and always reciting the Vedic literature. And now we are speaking here about talking to others, but actually all these instructions about the quality of speech can be applied also to how you talk to yourself. Because if the quality of the dialogue you have with yourself, or this inner or self-talk, is high, then also your communication with others also may become better. How do you communicate with others? So how do you talk to yourself? You can sometimes observe. I'm saying to myself this, I'm saying to myself that. I'm criticizing others in my mind. I'm sometimes criticizing myself in my mind. I'm very negative. So I have negative inner dialogue, and my parents were telling me that I'm bad my whole life. So now I always have this negative inner dialogue going on inside. And I feel miserable, then I take pills for depression, and and I don't know what to do. I want to jump in the Rhine, and save my life by committing suicide. So, actually, you can choose what you talk to yourself, but you have to practice. And these beautiful instructions in the scriptures give us descriptions of the quality of high quality speech, or pure speech, or fine speech. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, amongst women, I am fine speech. One of the 6 main qualities of women, Krishna describes. One is intelligence, memory, but fine speech is very important quality, not only for women, but also for men. But he describes this, he says, amongst women, I am fine speech. But in the 12th canto of the Bhagavatam, so this is the 4th canto of the Bhagavatam, so later this book describes that in this age, in Kali Yuga, that women will speak harshly. Women will speak harshly. And they will also be small, like not very tall. Now we see that men also speak harshly in Kali Yuga. So people just hurt each other with words. But with your words, you can actually encourage others, you can elevate others, you can bring good fortune to their lives, you can give them enlightenment or good instruction, good teachings, and help them to transform their lives by your words. And we learn from the saintly personalities and from great personalities how to talk. We learn from Prithu Maharaj, we learn from Kumaras how to talk. So this is something that one needs to practice. Positive inner dialogue, spiritual inner dialogue, and how we communicate with others. We all have this experience, or most of us have this experience, regretting pressing the send button. How many of you have this experience, regretting pressing the send button? Huh?
Which button?
Send. on email. Send. So you write something that you are angry or something, you're upset, and then you send something heavy. You send something heavy, then you regret it. Oh, why did I put send? So you are looking for the undo button, but then it's too late because you put it on 3 minutes or 2 minutes. And it's gone already. Then you write to Google and you ask them, can you delete this before they receive it? Oh, they already received it, so you cannot withdraw it. Yeah. So therefore it's better to think before pressing send. Think before pressing send. Similarly, think before you say something, because it may hurt other people. And the mood in which we go, we can say the right thing, we can say the truth, but if we say it with envy and hate, it will hurt people. I heard that Americans are straightforward. That means they tell you everything to your face. So when I was in Alacho, in Florida, there was a lot of devotees in the temple. And then I said, so you are very straightforward, isn't it? You tell everything. You don't hesitate to tell people to their face what you think. It's wrong with them. And they, like not with some devotees, not with their head. And then I said, but are you ready, like, to hear yourself also such kind of speech? That others tell you straightforwardly to your face what they think about you and whatever is imperfect about you. And nobody said anything to this. So it's easy to be straightforward about what's wrong with others, but are you ready to be straightforward what's wrong with you? To hear when other people speak openly, frankly to you, what's wrong with you. And when somebody wants to tell you something, then you defend like anything. You have thousands of reasons why you're right and you're perfect. So that's false ego. This is false ego. This is not spiritual. And Prabhupada says one should be so straightforward in his speech. But how? How do you do it? And in which situations and to whom? This is a big question. Yesterday, one devotee sent me an inquiry, said that Prabhupada says simplicity means that one should be so straightforward that he should be able to tell the truth even to an enemy. Oh, yeah, wow, yes. So what do? You come to a policeman who arrested you and you say, you know, I'm a Hare Krishna, I'm a saint, and you're a demon. That's the truth. My guru told me to tell you the truth. And he said, oh, nice. So I was practicing simplicity from the Bhagavad Gita. I've just told him straightforwardly the truth and what I really think about him. And unfortunately, he didn't like it and he killed me. And then I went to God and complained. You know, why he killed me? I was following the instruction. And I think the God will tell you, use your intelligence. Use your intelligence. How and when to apply what you learn. The principle, according to time, place, and circumstance. Desha, kala, patra. So therefore, we learn from experienced devotees how to apply what is written there. We need explanations because we have a tendency to misinterpret. And based on the misinterpretation of the scriptures, even wars are being fought. Even people fighting wars because they misinterpret what is in their scriptures, even old world scriptures, not only in Vedic scriptures, but they misinterpret. Yeah? Yes?
This belief that some sect of the Muslim people, they misinterpret some of the section for jihad and they're committing crime
Yes.
on that basis.
Yes. jihad, like holy war.
Yes.
Let me kill everyone for my sense gratification. Yes, people use scriptures to make excuses and to do something that is against the scriptures. They do that. In all religions, in all traditions, they do that. This is why people don't trust institutions, religious institutions. They don't trust because they're misusing. And also they are not practicing what they preach. You say one thing, you think one thing, say another thing, and do another thing. So this is called no integrity. No integratedness with the timeless principles. But we are learning from Srimad Bhagavatam how to have a high quality speech. And I have here, we will not have time to read all this, but I have, if you want, I have compiled so many quotes about speech, pure speech, fine speech, spiritual speech, and you can read if you like. I can send you this file or this email. And there is quotes from all Srila Prabhupada's teachings. He speaks about the quality of speech. And I want to encourage you to practice spiritual and positive inner dialogue, how you talk to yourself. Then the way you communicate to others will be much better. So thank you very much for listening. Do you have any questions? Yes?
You were mentioning about envy and anger in the heart, that we shouldn't like poison the other person by speaking in that way. So if we have anger and envy in the heart, what can we do about it? Yeah, because I don't know, I was traveling in France and I was following the Guru and didn't went out the way I wanted it. So now I have anger and I'm thinking, I realize myself thinking he's the reason why it didn't went out well, but it was my mistake. Yeah. So how can we, what can we do to remove that anger and envy?
But do you really want to remove it?
That's the question, yeah.
If you really want to remove it, then I think you will find a way. I had one Facebook post. It's easy to get angry at others. Why don't you get angry at your bad habits? Or your whatever, your
So remove bad habits.
Bad habits, and I think it's good to get angry at our tendency to get angry. That means become determined to root it out. I'm angry at my anger. If you're angry at your anger, what does that mean? Well, I want to root it out. I want to kick it out. I don't need it in my system. Anger, lust, greed, madness, illusion, envy. I don't need these six highway robbers, thieves. I don't need them in my life. So we have to be determined. And anger can be purified by being engaged in spiritual service. So if you're angry against people who are doing wrong or something, and Krishna encouraged Arjuna to actually be determined to fight for justice. And you have to be a little angry in order to fight, a little bit determined in order to fight. Yes?
I always like to recommend 6 very practical steps for any kind of transformational process where we want to get rid of some unwanted qualities, no matter whether it's envy, lust, or anger, or whatever it may be. So step number 1 is always understanding how this quality comes about, no actually manifests in all kinds of subtle ways and where it comes from. So hearing is always the first step. Then we become more conscious and mindful of it. Then the next step, number 2, is desiring, to have a very strong desire to actually get rid of this. Then the step number 3 is introspection and honesty, to always reflect and introspect and be honest with ourselves. Because without introspection and honesty, there's actually not much hope for us, because a lot of these anattas are so subtle, and contaminated intelligence always finds justifications why everything is okay with us and why everybody else is wrong and false ego. So without introspection and honesty, not much chance to actually really uproot these things. And there, at that point, we do need a mentor, because very often our vision of ourselves is clouded and foggy and we cannot actually see ourselves. So then after introspection and honesty, step number 3, comes step number 4, which is catching ourselves doing the wrong thing. So that's already progress, because before we have done the wrong thing for so many years and we have never even realized that it is wrong. So catching ourselves doing the wrong thing, that's already a little progress. That at least we realize, oh, I shouldn't have said that, I shouldn't have done that. You know, even though it's too late in one sense because we've done or said it already, but nevertheless, catching ourselves doing the wrong thing, that is already progress. So, and then comes step number 5, that we lament and we cry out to Krishna. Because all these things are actually so deep-rooted, we have carried them with us for so many lifetimes. We, out of our own strength, we actually cannot free ourselves from it. They're actually like demons, and we have to invite Krishna to uproot them, and so we have to cry out to Krishna. Lord Nrsimhadev, very expert with his sharp nails to perform some heart surgery there. So and if we do these last 3 steps of being introspective and honest, catching ourselves doing the wrong thing, crying out to Krishna, if we do these 3 steps again and again and again, it's actually a lot of hard internal work.
Yep.
And if a devotee agrees to do these 3 steps, then we actually make progress. So to make progress is not some external thing of, oh, becoming senior and everybody knows me and I have so many friends on Facebook or something. But to actually be prepared to do this internal work. So and if we do this internal work, then sooner or later we come to step number 6, where we catch ourselves doing the right thing. That we actually come across a little situation in our life, insignificant situation, where we realize, you know, a few weeks before I would have acted different. I would have gone for the bait, so to speak, the provocation. I would have defended, I would have answered back, I would have, you know, gotten angry or whatever it may be. But now, all of a sudden, I just could let it go by and not react to it. And then we actually realized, yes, this process actually works. By Krishna's mercy, Krishna actually, according to our sincerity, as we do this internal work and we really literally cry out to him to be relieved from this, you know, anatta, Krishna actually responds, and Krishna actually, gradually frees us. So, and if we do this internal work, we actually gradually, we can truly transform our patterns of behaviors. So just to make a resolution, okay, I'm just not going to be angry from this day onwards or something. This is not going to get us anywhere, you know, because we have carried this with us for so many lifetimes. So ultimate solution is cry to Krishna, sincerely. But our problem is we are not so sincerely crying out, you know, especially false ego patterns of behaviors. We hang on to this hope that ego satisfaction will give us some taste and self-gratification. So we are not so sincerely crying out to Krishna. So that's actually the root.
Do you have these steps in your book?
Yes, of course.
So I can send.
It's in the blue one, in the sheltering relationships. There's a whole chapter on envy, how envy manifests through its seniors equals juniors, and also how to uproot envy. And then that similar thing I'm quoting in the false ego book too, with some slight adjustments.
You have this about anger. You have these steps for. These are steps for like rooting out every.
Yeah, I mean whether it's envy or I give them in regards to envy and in regards to false ego patterns of behaviors, but ultimately, and I'm also describing that they're actually working for any kind of transformational process.
Yes.
Whether it's becoming free of envy or false ego patterns of behaviors or anger, doesn't really matter. That they are applicable for any kind of unwanted patterns of behaviors. And interestingly enough, in my courses, one participant once said that the Alcoholics Anonymous, they're recommending very similar steps. So I had no clue. I just came up with these steps myself type thing, because I am trying to work like that on my heart and free myself from subtle unwanted things. So I have that practical experience that it actually works. If you do that internal work, I have the practical experience. So then one person once told me, actually, this is one of these steps there in these processes to get rid of addictions. And I was thinking to myself, yeah, very true. We are addicted, to our false ego satisfaction and our envy and so on. So it is a form of addiction. So even non-devotees come up with these kind of steps that this actually is useful in getting rid of any kind
So I can give him your 6 steps and 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. So he can have 2 tools.
Yes.
He'll have 2 tools. Okay, so who has the last best question? Srila Prabhupada ki.